I'm Susan Quinn at the University of South Carolina. I'm going to step you through how to attach files, documents, presentations, etc. in the Graduation with Leadership Distinction ePortfolio you are creating in Google Sites. This is Step 5, Links to Artifacts. We will upload files to a page in your site and then create a link to the file in the text. At this point, your portfolio should look like a professional web page. You probably have already written reflections in your portfolio that refer to work you have done in your classes and in your beyond the classroom experiences. These are the artifacts you will want to include in your portfolio. First, let's talk about choosing appropriate files to use as artifacts. The information and examples in the GLD ePortfolio Content Guide and on the USC Connect webpage show the types of materials you want to include. What I want to point out here is that you also want to be concerned about the privacy, copyright, and technical issues with the files you attach or link to from your portfolio. First, you want to protect your own privacy and the privacy of anyone who is represented in your portfolio. You want to delete, black out, or otherwise obscure any personal information about you and others, especially children. Be sure to follow copyright rules. Ask permission to use materials that you did not create and give credit to the people who did create the work. You also want to make your site and any artifacts you include both accessible and usable by others. This includes creating your site that meets the standards that allow users with disabilities to access your portfolio and artifacts. But it also includes creating or converting your artifacts into relatively small files and in formats that are common to the media players most users will have on their computers. Visit the Graduation with Leadership Distinction site and the Google Sites Help Desk page for links to additional information. Now let's go to our sample site. Here we are at our site. Let's add a copy of the GLD application to the About Me page. If you do not see a link to the Add Files at the bottom of the page, click on the gear and choose Page Settings. Confirm that Allow Attachments is checked. Click Save. Go to the bottom of the About Me page and click Add Files. You will need to browse to the file you want to attach. I have a blank application for the GLD program. We'll choose that one. Click Open. And there it is. Notice that the link to the file is the file name. I'm going to show you how to change the name in just a second. You are finished if you just want the file available on the bottom of the screen. If you do this, you will want to talk about the link in the body of the page. You might say something like, "My Graduation with Leadership Distinction application can be found at the bottom of the page. In it, you will see ... Before I show you the second step, creating a link to your artifact in the body of your page, let me show you how to change the name of the file that is visible at the bottom of the screen. Click on the gear, choose Manage Site, and then click on Attachments. You will see the files that you have already uploaded on your site. You can view a file or download it. You can also see the location on your site if you have already linked to it. This is also where you can upload additional attachments, replace a file, move it, rename it, or delete it. We're going to check the box beside Application and choose Rename. Let's enter a new name. We'll make it a little shorter. We'll just call it GLD Application. And because it's a PDF document, you probably want to tell the user that it's going to be a PDF document. PDF is a very common file type, and it maintains the formatting of the original document, so it is a good file type to use in your portfolio. Okay, let's rename. And there you are. See at the top that it was successfully renamed? And then click on the title of your site to return to your About Me page. Okay, there it is on the About Me page. The file is a shorter name. This is not a required step, but it's probably a good thing to do, especially if you have multiple attachments on a page. Of course, depending on how you describe the attachment in the body of the page, it may be perfectly fine to leave it listed as the file name. This is a design decision on your part. Let's put a little text in the body of the About Me page so we can add a link to the application. Check on the pencil to edit the page. I have a sentence that I mentioned a minute ago in another document. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to put the cursor below my picture, and I'm going to paste. Okay, your application is already attached at the bottom of the screen, so we're good to go. Decide where you're going to place the link, or in this case, which text you're going to replace with the link. I always highlight and copy text I want to use as a link. In subprograms, your link will replace the words you highlight. That's not the case in Google Sites, though. Oops. You also may want to add an extra space where you're going to want to put the link. Okay, what you're going to do is drag the file from the bottom of the page to the place in the text you want the link to go. Notice the subtle little vertical line showing where the link will go. Let go. Notice that it's copying the link and not moving it. Okay, that's where we want it to be. Notice that the file name doesn't look good in the sentence now, though. So to rename the link within the text, simply click on the link. And this is true in many programs. From here you can go to the link, you can remove the link, or you can change the link. I can cut and paste, I can paste the words that I had highlighted, or I could just type it in for the text to display. And notice that the link to the URL is there. Again, like when you're inserting a link to a web page, you have the choice of opening the file in a new window. In this case, you may want to have the user open your application in a separate window so that he or she can refer to it while viewing the rest of your portfolio. We do want to remember to tell the user that it's opening in a new window, though. Click OK. Now let's clean up a little bit around the link. Let's replace the words that are duplicated, and let's add opens in a new My Graduation with Leadership Distinction application opens in a new window, can be found at the bottom of the page. In it, you will see ... Click Save. Now you have the attachment at the bottom of the page and a link to it within the text. The decision to have your artifacts in one or both places is a design decision. One final comment about artifacts is to think about how you would like the user to interact with each artifact. Are you simply including it as an example of something you have done, or is there something specific you want the user to look for while viewing the artifact? Be sure you are clear in your description or reflection about the artifact. Also remember, it is sometimes difficult to step back from your own work, so it's a good idea to get feedback from others to make sure your portfolio truly represents the range of experiences you have had to graduate with leadership distinction. Thank you, and best wishes.